Welcome back to the Matrix. You're not just in the Matrix, you are the Matrix. How's it feel, Neo? And today we got ourselves a banger daily market news and analysis. We got a lot in store for you today. We're going to go over the news, which there's a lot of news to cover today. We're going to go over the analysis. I'm going to give you my thoughts, my predictions. We're going to go over Bitcoin, XRP, Ethereum, ADA, the Dow Jones, the DXY, Bitcoin Dominance, and then we're going to get into your guys' charts and questions, comments, concerns, all that stuff. So make sure you guys like, subscribe, follow me on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch. Okay, the first thing, breaking news, India has launched a missile strike on Pakistan, vows to retaliate, okay? So, viewer discretion is advised. I'm going to show this. So, here you go. This is full-on war. And I definitely have some thoughts on this as far as the charts and the TA. War is evil. We'll just start there. War is evil. There is nothing good about war. I've been to war. I've been to 3 different wars, 4 different times, okay? There's no winners. All right, I assure you. And it means something different than what you think. So we'll get into that. But that is unfortunate. But that happened. All right. A little bit brighter news. New Hampshire. Governor Kelly signs bill into law allowing New Hampshire to be the first state to invest into Bitcoin. This isn't them holding Bitcoin. This isn't them planning. This means with their profits that the government brings in, which New Hampshire is a state government, they are going to be buying Bitcoin. Okay? As OG Bitcoiners, as OG crypto people, someone who's been in this space since 2014, I can tell you. This is a big domino, right? So the first thing was people adoption, and then you had business adoption, and then you had institutional adoption, which we started getting with BlackRock and all the ETFs. And then after that, it is governmental adoption. And this is one of the first dominoes in that, because New Hampshire, although it's not a giant state, right? No one's arguing that it's this massive population with a massive economy. It's not. But it is a domino in the right direction. Live free or die, baby. That's right. Live free or die. They mean it. They mean it over there in New Hampshire. Okay, I've been there. It's beautiful. It's one of my favorite places that I've ever been to. No seatbelt laws, no insurance, no motorcycle helmets. Live free or die. They mean it. Okay? They mean it. All right, breaking. The Fed just purchased billions 3-year bond, the largest daily purchase since 2021 QE era. They're injecting liquidity on the side instead of cutting rates to avoid panic. QE is here. Now, tomorrow is the Fed meeting, and I'm going to tell you right now, they're not going to cut interest rates. But just because they're not cutting interest rates does not mean that QE has not started, right? There are different ways of quantitative easing and quantitative tightening. The Fed purchasing bonds, make no mistake, is quantitative easing. Make no mistake about that. So QE has started. Quantitative easing has officially started. And perhaps maybe the biggest story in cryptocurrency right now. Bitcoin OS demo, Bitcoin to Cardano and back without a cross-chain bridge. Now, what does this mean? This means for all of the entire history of Bitcoin, 15 years now, Bitcoin has been a store of value. You have not been able to program money on Bitcoin like Ethereum, like Solana, and all the other ones, right? All the amazing things about DeFi. Bitcoin has just been a store of value. It's digital gold. This is the first step where you can start to program money. And what this means is they essentially sent Bitcoin and back on the ADA network without using a third party, which I cannot quantify and magnify how big of a deal that this actually is. But just know that this is a massive, massive big deal. And I talked about it a little bit earlier. I have a long in ADA right now, presently. Okay? Presently, I have a long in ADA right now. I am going to be looking to add to that position. Make no mistake. All right, so here's my long, 3x long. If any opportunities present themselves, I will be adding to this position. Make no mistake about it. Okay? Because I am very bullish on the chart, short term, medium term, long term, and fundamentally at the same time. Okay, this is a big deal. Sui Game EXO announces Adidas partnership. So basically there's a game that Adidas is launching some NFTs. It's kind of something. It's a big deal. All right, let's get into the charts and crypto. And we're going to circle back to the war in India, right? We're going to circle back to the war in India because I find the timing of it very, very interesting, right? We've been talking about this fractal that has been at play. And if you don't know what a fractal is, basically you pull a chart data. So this is from 2021. This is the distribution of 2021, the markdown of 2022, aka bear market, then the accumulation. Okay, this was your selling climax right here. This was Luna going to 0. This was your spring, FTX going to 0. Okay, that was your spring right here. FTX going to 0 was your spring. Okay, so this is the same exact structure that we have right here. Okay, this is distribution. Your markdown, aka the bear market, marked down, aka the bear market. We went from 109,000 all the way back down to 74.4. That's a huge correction, right? Then your accumulation, you get your selling climax, spring right here, spring right here. Now, the reason that I find the thing very interesting in the timing of it all and the structure of it all is because FTX went to 0 as the spring of Bitcoin back in 2022. OM went to 0 during the spring of 2025, April. Okay, and then what do we have? This was the this back test right here was the Silicon Valley Bank going to 0, and then you back test again to the war in Israel. That is when that started. And perhaps the same exact structure that we are right here. Because ultimately, I think the next move takes us to 118,000 macro. And now let me categorize things. War is evil. War is terrible. I have been to war. There are no winners in war. Do you understand? There are no winners in war. And war is good for the economy. War is good for stocks. I wish that were not the case because it is evil. It is terrible. It is awful. There are no winners. But this is the sad reality and the sad truth of it all. So Bitcoin pulling back a little bit from 98,000 back to 93.4. Today, right now, as the time of recording, we're at 94,500. I anticipate a little bit of a chop. Ultimately, when we go to the 5 hour, we are chopping upwards, right? And this has been a trend that has been at play for a little while now. As you can see, this was resistance over here. February, March, April, this was resistance. Every time we came to this line, we got rejected until we got above it, and now we're holding it as support. And that was the same thing that happened back here, right? When you go into a downtrend, you just kind of gruel your way out of here, and it's sort of a wall of worry of, are we sure we're going higher? And to me, that's what it is. Are we sure? I'm sure, but the market is not. So I anticipate higher lows from Bitcoin. I anticipate the worst of it is done. We might get a back test if we're lucky to $88,000. But in all likelihood, this is probably it. Right in here. Okay. Ethereum is a beat behind Bitcoin. We've talked about this a lot. You break the downtrend right in here. So on the top, we're going to show Ethereum. On the bottom, we're going to show Bitcoin. In my opinion, Bitcoin is just a beat or two ahead of the rest of the market. Let's show it right. This one. Yeah, here we go. So this is the same structure. You have your markdown, you finally break out of the downtrend. And if we zoom in, you can see what I'm talking about here. Bitcoin just kind of waddled in here. And if we were going on to a smaller time frame, you can kind of see it even a little bit more clearly. Bitcoin breaks out of this downtrend and then just waddles here for a little bit before making a move higher to the 618 Fibonacci retracement. Now, if we're lucky, Ethereum will back test about $1,600. That is as worse as it's going to get. In all likelihood, this is it right here. Because again, it's honoring this micro uptrend as well. But if it were to continue to follow Bitcoin and get to the 618 Fibonacci retracement, Ethereum would take you to about 3,300. I anticipate that to be relatively soon. I'm not saying tomorrow or next week, but the next move. And you might be like, well, it's not going to be that quick, Ski. But in reality, when you look at Bitcoin, Bitcoin did that in 25 days. Okay? It went from the spring of 74.4 back to the 618 Fibonacci retracement in 25 days. For perspective, this is 4 or 5 years of stock market gains. That's what Bitcoin just did. Everyone's been bearish the entire time. Couldn't be me. Okay? For Ethereum, that's a 1x move. And I think it could be just as short of amount of time. We will see. All right. As far as, let's move on to the XRP. It's still just waddling here. This is the big thing. And again, I'm going to be clear about my prediction, my analysis on XRP, because people get their panties in a bunch. Okay. My prediction is XRP will break free of this fractal, and this was the bottom, and we're going to make a higher low structure. $1.80 is the line in the sand. If we get below $1.80, we're coming back to $1.33. Okay. I do not predict that's what's going to happen, but my channel is not about predicting what's going to happen. My channel is about analyzing the market, outlining the most likely scenario, and then less likely but still plausible scenarios. To me, XRP coming back to $1.33, $1 is less likely, but it's not out of the realm of possibility. So, that being said, I have a plan in place if that action takes place. And my plan is I will add to my spot value on XRP. I have no interest in adding or subtracting my bag of XRP at this value because ultimately we're at the retracement. I've already de-risked at $3.33. Okay. If we don't come back, I'm going to continue to exit at $5, $8, $12. If we do come back, I'm going to add to the position. Right now, though, this value to me, for me personally, is neither a value that I'm interested in buying nor a value that I'm interested in selling. So I'm just going to hold what I have and wait for the market to present itself as to what it's going to do. Either way, I have a big enough position in XRP where I am A-okay. All right, we're going to be just fine. And as far as the total market cap, it's basically doing the same thing as Bitcoin. I like this a lot. This is the sign of strength for the total market cap. Others looking pretty good. A slight uptrend here. Silver, same thing. Gold, to me, is working on distribution. So that is the news and analysis. If you're watching this video, make sure you guys like and subscribe. But with that, we'll get into your guys' questions, comments, concerns.